Hi, welcome back. Now, in this video, we'll go through the actual details of this course. So, as I mentioned, we'll go through section by section and I'll explain about each section what exactly the content we are going to discuss. In fact, I'll show some of the sample slides as well so that you get a complete picture what exactly is covered in this course. Then you can take your decision. Okay. So, another 10 minutes, I request your time to go through this. So this course starts with one very interesting case study. So this is a solid case study about the pricing innovation. So it is about a construction company in India to build a metro train in a city, and it's a government project. And the way this vendor has come out with the innovative pricing is amazing, right? So I love this case study. Not only me, everybody got surprised, including the customers. So it's worth for you to go through that. I am sure you would also love this. So that's why I am starting this course with this case study. And section 1 will start with the key concepts of pricing, as I mentioned earlier. So these are those concepts about which the participants need a complete clarity, right, for them to understand about the pricing subject. Okay, let me share some sample slides. So one of the concept is, let us look into this. Let's understand the true relationship between a price, cost, and margin, right? So at a very high level, pricing is a very complex subject. How do you work out the price depends upon so many factors, but very high level, price depends upon a cost and margin, right? Price is equal to, you have some costs for developing your service or product, and you need some margin, so that's what actually is the price, right? So now, if you understand, there's a different perspective to this equation, right? So if you understand that perspective, believe me, it improves your probability of winning your deals significantly, right? So this is not actually what I've experienced myself. This has been the experience of several practices in the industry, right? So very important aspect which you need to go through this. And in fact, in my previous organization, when I delivered, when I used to deliver this session, more than 95% of the participants used to give this feedback. Wow, Sharad, this is one of the key, takeaways for us from this course, right? So this will go through, and I'm just sharing what are the different concepts. Some sample concepts I'm sharing here. Low price versus premium price. We have discussed in some other quotations, right? So we'll understand it thoroughly. What is the low price? What is the premium price? When to use the low price? When to use premium price? When not to use those aspects? All those things we'll discuss with examples. And one more concept is about the rate card, right? So if your organization is providing services to your customers, your organization will have a rate card, right? So do you know what is your rate card? So this subsection talks about in detail about the rate card. So what is the rate card? What it contains, who work on the rate card, how do they work on the rate cards? Your organization may have different services, different practices, right? So do they have different rate cards for those practices? If at all that is the case, how do they work out those practice specific rate cards? And when do you change your rate cards? Very, very important aspect, right? Because when you provide services to your customers, rate card is one important thing which is going to have a significant impact. In fact, I'm not getting into, I'm just showing the sample. So these are all some of the factors which would have impact on your rate card derivation, right? So each factor will have an impact when you work out your rate card. So we'll go through each of these factors in the actual course. In fact, I'll explain about in details about all those factors, and I'll also share some examples, some of the practical experiences, some of the do's and don'ts. All these things will be an actual value add for the participants. And one more thing is the factors considered for computing the final price. So this is another important aspect. So when you say, your customer, okay, my price is $1.6 million, right? How did you arrive this final price? So which are all those factors which are considered, right? So this subsection will talk about that, right? So there are so many factors here. Look at this. Again, very, very interesting one. And we'll get into the depth of each factor. And again, I'll explain about a lot of practical experiences, examples, which we face with the different customers. And, that would be a key value add, for you when you go through this subsection. And one more concept is, customer engagement maturity levels. So when you engage your customers, right, the engagement between your organization, your customer organization depends upon the maturity level, the level of maturity between both organizations, right? So what are these maturity levels? And how you engage customers with at different maturity levels. Is there any recommended sequence in which you have to go through these maturity levels? Can you bypass a maturity level for a customer? All these aspects we are going to discuss, right? Can we initiate engagement directly at a higher level, right, for a new customer? So this is another important aspect we are going to discuss, because your engagement with your customer depends upon the maturity between both the organizations. So this is another important what you would learn. And look at one sample slide where these are all the different maturity levels, and we'll say which pricing models are recommended for which engagement level, why, right? Again, we'll get into the depth, and I'll share a lot of examples based on practical experiences, right? So this is another thing what we are going to discuss. And one more concept is the key stakeholders in the customer organization and their expectations. See, when you interact with your customers, there are different stakeholder groups within the customer organization. You all know, you're all senior experts, right? So now this section talks about a lot of practical aspects in that, right? So which are all the different stakeholder groups, right? Which group expects what from you, from your proposal? How do you handle, engage those stakeholders? Which stakeholders, carry more, influence in converting your proposal into a successful order? Right, what are the tips and guidelines to engage them efficiently? All those aspects we are going to discuss here, right? So I'm just showing the first section when I say key concept, I mean by these kind of things, right? It's very interesting, you would love it. And key pricing strategies. So we'll go through some of the key pricing strategies what you see here: cost-based pricing, competitive pricing, value-based pricing, right? In fact, all these strategies not specific to IT industry, right? They're all used in any industry, but they're all quite widely used in IT industry. So we'll go through all these strategies. Again, I'll explain with some other examples, experiences, and we'll understand about, so that you know which type of strategy would be apt, right fit for your customers. Okay, that's what we'll discuss in section 2. Now, very interesting, section 3. This is as I said, this is the biggest, very complex section in this entire course: leading pricing models, right? So we'll discuss about all these 6 leading pricing models, okay? And for each of the models, we'll see what is this model, when this model will be used, and how exactly this model will be used, and which are all the type of customer engagements which are the right fit for using this model or recommending this model. Then we'll go through the advantages and disadvantages from both customers' perspective and service providers' perspective, right? So this is very important aspect, right? So that you understand thoroughly about that particular model. And when we go through the disadvantages, we'll also discuss each of those disadvantages. How do you overcome them, right? They're all disadvantages and challenges. How do you overcome them? What are the practical experiences what we experience in different customer engagements? So this is very important one. Of course, you would have observed by now, everything I'll keep saying important one. And we'll talk about the do's and don'ts, right? So what are the do's and don'ts? Mainly from the service provider's perspective, right? When you handle a pricing model, what are the do's and don'ts from service provider point of view? And each of these pricing model will have different variants. Time and material, there are several variants. Fixed price, there are several variants, right? So we'll go through some of the very important variants for each pricing model, and we'll understand each variant with examples, case studies, computations, right? That's why I said this section 3 we'll get into the depth, right? So very, very useful. I'm sure participants would enjoy this. Section 4, we'll talk about the pricing for agile projects delivery. So agile is a separate subject. I'm not getting into the agile subject itself, agile framework discussion itself. Because we are talking about the pricing, this section talks about pricing aspect of agile projects. Okay, that much we are going to discuss, very small section. Okay, so that gives a clarity which pricing models are right fit for agile, why, which are not right fit, why. All these things we'll be discussing there. Section 5, pricing in digital technology based engagements. This is another very, very important. After section 3, section 5 is another big section. So in this section, we'll talk about all these leading digital technologies. For each digital technology, okay, we'll get into what are the recommended pricing models. suppose if I have a mobile engagement for your customer, which are the recommended pricing models? Why? Right? And we'll talk about the key factors which would impact the price. Look at this. Mobile technology, 11 factors. Cloud, 9 factors. Big data, 8. So overall, there are 60 factors taken from all these 6 different digital technologies. We'll be discussing in depth in this section. Okay. So what does it mean? It means, suppose you have a mobile technology opportunity for which you are doing effort estimates, right? There's a more than 90% probability that these 11 factors will be there which you need to consider for your estimates. That's the meaning. Okay, so that's why this section will be very, very useful in today's digital context. Okay? And when it comes to AI, you all know that today artificial intelligence is being used for everything, right? Including the pricing. So we'll also look into some examples, some case studies, how AI is helping in dynamic pricing. I mean, right? That aspect also we'll go through. So that's section number 5, and a very, very important one, that too in today's digital world. And section 6, strategies for intellectual property pricing. So very obvious, today everything is digital. A lot of new inventions have been happening across the globe. So now intellectual property plays an important role, right? So this section 6 is a small section. It talks about which are all the leading pricing strategies, right, which are being used in the industry for pricing your intellectual properties. Okay, this knowledge would help you, but because intellectual property itself is a separate subject. In my previous organization, we had a separate division exclusively to handle IPs. So that's why we will not be able to get into the depth, but I'll give very good knowledge about the intellectual property pricing strategies, okay, in section 6. And finally, we'll have a plan of action where I'll give some, good, practical, implementable, activities at the end of this course, so that it would help you to implement, the learnings you had from this course. So overall, it is a complete course on IT pricing and IT services. I don't think you have any other course. I can boast about this, right? Because I put a lot of my efforts and I use my experience, because I feel this is one subject where there are not many opportunities for people to learn from the training programs, right? That's the reason why I developed this. And so this covers complete aspects of pricing except effort estimation. Okay, so effort estimation is a separate subject altogether. In fact, very soon I'll be coming with another course. How do you split the activities into sub activities and work breakdown structure? So it's a completely different technical subject. So I'm not mixing that. So that except that this is a complete course on the pricing subject. Okay. Okay, now still is it worth going through this course, right? So still some of you may be having this question mark, nothing to worry, because end of the day, you need to get convinced, right? So now let me share one last slide as my last attempt, so that maybe this slide may help you to take your final decision. Okay, so I feel this course is unique, right? Because these points. Number one, expert-led design and delivery. As I told, I come with this very rich experience in IT service delivery and training delivery, right? So I handled both these areas, so that I feel that would be the one key value add in this course. Practical orientation. So I said we'll cover theory, but we are also talking about everywhere practical experiences, examples, right? Case studies is going to be completely a practical exposure for the participants. And when I said the practical experience sharing, is not only my experience, is the organization's experience. I worked with the different companies, right? So it's not only what I experienced, but what all which I have seen myself, different accounts, different projects in the organization, right? Is a collective experience, and also others' experiences. What all I read, what all I gather from different experiences of other practitioners in the industry. So it's not only my individual experience what I use in this course. Digital technology focus, because as I said, the pricing, we are going to talk about the different digital technologies, right? Which is the need of the hour today, right? That's what actually another important thing. And engaging delivery, by now you would have noticed, I love to, even though it's an online course, I would like to deliver as a natural, delivery, as if participants are in front of me. So I'm somehow not comfortable script based delivery of individual slides, right? So because I feel the delivery should look more natural, which I like it, and I feel that participants also do love it, because I had seen several training programs where I'm sure you also would have experienced. Programs will be like this. I had seen some programs where people even sleep, right? So, but I assure you, in my training program, you will always be alert. I'll ensure that you will be actively engaged. Okay, that's what actually has been the feedback what I received from my participants as well. And visual rich content, not in a single slide you will see in my course, entire course, any of my courses, which is just text based, right? Everything I try to put more pictorial, animation, so that it gives a lot of interactive exposure for the participants. Okay, so overall my objective is to save around 25 to 30% of your time, which people are struggling today, in some other cases, where to learn about the financials, pricing, commercial, these kind of subjects, right? So my objective is to save at least 25% of your time, because if you go through this course, you would have learned a lot of aspects which you need not have to learn. You need not have to reinvent the wheel. Okay, that's my objective. And additionally, I also love, right, to support anybody who go through this course. You would like to implement any of these practice what you learn, I'll be more than happy. I'll share my mail ID and contact details. I'll be more than happy to guide you, help you, which whatever extent is possible. Okay, so overall I would like to provide a unique experience through this course to you, and that's my commitment to you. Okay, so that's it. Hope you are convinced and excited to go through this course. Fine. So still I'll not request you, because I feel request doesn't help, because end of the day, if participants find the topics relevant and course has the right content and it's presented well, they may register, otherwise they may not, right? So but in any case, I feel I shared all the details with you, so decision is yours. Okay, hope to see you in the course. That's it from my side. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.